Good day again, everyone. We want to welcome you to another edition of my Lutheran Connections, and this is the MLC talk. Bijo, I have to get used to the to our newly adopted name, the MLC talk. I will have to get used to that. Yeah, but again, today we have a very interesting topic that is unraveling the LUCWA, that is the Lutheran Communion of Central and West Africa, repayment and of $9,850. What went wrong? How did we get here, Big Joe? I want to welcome you again to another edition of the MLC talk. And how are you doing there in Dansbury, Connecticut?
I'm doing great, Willie. Thank you so much for the intro. Yes, we are back again with another exciting topic, a conversation of interest to all Lutherans. The current leadership started with the subject of accountability, making sure that they can restore the trust and confidence, of the Lutherans across the world, back home and in the diaspora, to support the efforts of the leadership. We all welcome that. We all support that. But it's not just a talk. This is about action. This is about acting. And I think the leadership has taken some initial steps towards that, making sure that people are held accountable for their actions, and the leadership adopting, a complete open approach to leadership, something that's been amiss in the Lutheran Church for some time now. So today we are happy again to be here to talk about, the Lutheran Communion in Central and Western Africa. We are a member of that, and my understanding, Will, is that they do this leadership that goes around from country to country. And once upon a time, during the tenure of former Bishop Siangolo, Liberia assumed the leadership of LUCWA. And my understanding is that when you assume the leadership, it's like members of your senior leadership have a role to play in the local leadership as well. So that's their leadership model, and Liberia had an opportunity. So today, Willie, the way to start this conversation, to really brace our audience appropriately for the conversation, is good for us to read the letter or the email transmitting the letter from the Secretary General or the General Secretary of the LCL, Brother Victor Kedor. Sorry, Victor, if you're listening. Willie, what I have here from the email that was distributed, it says attached is a communication and a payment schedule to all LCL district deans, parish,
and I can share that as well.
Yeah, parish pastors, parish council. So I'm just reading a summary of the letter you see on the screen. This summary is also from Brother Kedor. He just summarized his letter in an email, the communication sent to all. So this is official. I don't want anybody saying we secretly got this document or something.
No. This is public.
It's public. It's public. Yeah. So that's what we're discussing it here, because of the magnitude. So it says attached is a communication and a payment schedule to all LCL district deans, parish pastors, parish council chairpersons, auxiliaries, projects, programs, institutions, and the entire membership of the Lutheran Church in Liberia concerning the LCL settlement of financial obligation to the Lutheran Communion in Central and Western Africa, LUCWA, in the amount of US $10,000. And I know that is just more than $50 more than the $1,850.
Yes.
So, the Monrovia district is to contribute the amount of $2,000. And all of these we're talking about are United States dollars, $2,000, while the other 8 LCL districts are to contribute 1,000 United States dollars each. All LCL projects, programs, and departments are to also make contribution as indicated in the attached payment schedule. Yes, whether you can just roll the payment schedule right there. So you see here the Lutheran Church in Liberia, you see district's contribution to LCL right there on your screen. You see Monrovia district, you see Kakata, Upper Bong, Lower Lofa, all of them, how much they are supposed to pay right there. So I see $1,000 each over there, coming to $10,000 total. So let's go to the breakdown further. Then we have institutions and projects, their contributions. So, like the LCL Trauma Healing Program, for example, that's the THRP is paying $200. The LCL HIV and AIDS program, $200. LDS, $200. The school system, Phoebe Hospital, they're paying $100 each. Current Hospital, $100. Department of Mission, lay training, they all paying $100. Do we say how breakdown further?
Oh no, this is the
Okay,
total.
that's
Right? The total,
that's the end of it. So
yeah.
this is what the letter is saying further, the mode of payment. So one, um, through mobile money transfer, the phone number is here. I'm not going to read the phone number, but I'm going to the name of the person is Nyama Lopo Boa. That's the contact person who's going to be receiving money. Also, chairperson for the committee on the collection of the payment. And then you have the LCL Trauma Healing Office, LCL Central Office, 13th Street, Monrovia, a co-chairperson for the committee on the collection of the payment. So the Trauma Healing Program will serve as co-chair, Willie.
That's what we understand here. That's what we
right.
understand.
So that's what the General Secretary is saying here. And the payment deadline is when? May 24th,
May 24th, yes. Yeah. So we're
2020.
talking about Wednesday.
Right, Wednesday, yeah. So the Central Administration of LCL wants to encourage all parishes and districts to pay their respective contributions to uphold the image of the church and maintain the cordial working relationship with LUCWA. Thank you for the continuous support to the work of the church, and may the Almighty God bless you. In Jesus' name, regards, Victor E. Dwyer Kedor, Senior General Secretary. Wonderful. That's the communication from the General Secretary of the LCL, encouraging everyone based on the meeting that was held. My understanding is that the meeting was held on Tuesday. Was that Tuesday? Were they at the LCL?
A meeting was held on Tuesday.
It was an open meeting. The bishop made it open as usual, invited people, from all segment of the LCL to be in that meeting. And our understanding is that the bishop pleaded. That was the main thing that was done. Pleaded with everybody, pleaded with Lutherans to contribute towards the settlement of this financial obligation from LUCWA. But what I thought was missing and remains missing is how the current leadership has engaged the past leadership, because the misappropriation or the loss of the money was done during the administration of Bishop Siangolo. I am not sure to what extent Bishop Siangolo has been informed about the settlement, the urgency of the settlement, and my understanding is that we are required to pay in 2 weeks. That's why we are having a 24th deadline, a May 24th deadline. Right. Yes, so as much as it's good, Willie, and this is my opinion, as much as it's good to save the image, the reputation of the Lutheran Church in Liberia, it is also important to ensure that people who had the stewardship at the time of the church at the time to be able to come to the public, to come to us and say what happened. Because in the communications that being distributed so far from the General Secretary, nothing has been said in terms of how the money got missing, who's responsible for that. No information. I don't know if you have any information to that effect. No information has been shared as to what happened. And LUCWA, as an institution, as a regional Lutheran institution, I'm sure LUCWA has her own accounts. And if the Lutheran Church took the responsibility in terms of leadership for a period, there should have been a specific account created for LUCWA funds. Sorry, folks, we're still struggling to pronounce this.
This LUCWA.
Yeah, it's not too familiar. So we will be struggling with it somehow. But my understanding is that there should have been a LUCWA account established or an account identified specifically for LUCWA funds. So the question is, how come we mismanage LUCWA funds that we have to be compelled, we have to be embarrassed, we have to some extent, for the lack of better word, condemned to pay this money in 2 weeks, because this is a religious arrangement. I don't think LUCWA should be so harsh if there was not a foul play. Should be so harsh with the LCL as one of its members to say you have to pay in this time. I think that there's more to just appealing to Lutherans, to settle this obligation. There's a lot that needs to be unraveled. So today's show, Willie, the way I think we should proceed with it is we'll open the lines early, and
Right.
we will encourage our audience to share their opinion. Maybe some members of the current leadership will also like to call in to share some light on how we got to this point, that LUCWA is now compelling us, an institution that we even play a leadership role for before. It's not even taking it easy with us. They are so harsh and demanding, they're giving us an ultimatum. This is concerning. I don't think it should just be something about begging to settle. Mind you, Willie, we don't want to make Lutherans weary of contributing to development programs in the church once more. We've been down this road before. They've been very tired. You can imagine when we're doing the LTR support initiative, we have so many questions to answer about accountability. What has happened about previous contributions, past contributions? What has happened to funds that were collected? We had to take turns to assure Lutherans that, we now going to go down that road again. It's not going to be business as usual. Now we've done LTR collections, we've done total tithe, lay program collection is underway. We're trying to do that, and we've done collections for the bishop's residence. Now we are having urgency in doing collections to settle our financial obligation. Where is the former bishop in all of this? Where is his leadership? Some explanations have to be provided. If the former bishop cannot do that, then the current bishop or the leadership, whoever is well situated to do that, like the secretary general, they should come up and provide a detailed information on the circumstances surrounding the settlement. Because you can't just come to somebody and say, help me to settle my financial obligation, when they don't have an understanding of how you even incur.
Right, Bijo. Yeah, Bijo, I just want to jump in a little bit on this. So like you said, right? I mean, it has to be something very severe that LUCWA would not be having any sympathy with her former leader. I'm talking about the Lutheran Church in Liberia, who have been leading LUCWA, saying that you have to pay this amount. I mean, within 2 weeks, and it's just like I would say, under 2 weeks you have to pay, and okay, yes, and this is the thing that, like you said, I mean, coming to ask for help to, repay this money, to restitute, the fund that was kind of, with the understanding that mismanaged. Okay, we need to know what happened, but the communication from GS Kiddo, or the General Secretary Kiddo, doesn't state that. He's only saying, please, let's pay. So, Bijo, this is what I want for us to do. This is my suggestion, that let's look at the letter this way. How did we get here? The letter itself and how we're moving. And you also touch some of the collections that we've made. Okay, we got to be careful too with collections now, because there's a saying, a proverb that says, if you scratch one area too much, it's gonna cause sore. Our people are gonna be worried, because we've collected it. You've already named most of the collections that we've made. So and as we go down the line during the conversation, there's also a huge one after us that we have a deadline in July to repay, larger than this 10,000.
Right.
So yeah, so I mean, let's look at the community. Let's look at, someone asked a question in here. And we want you to please keep your questions coming. Yep.
Yeah.
Please keep your questions coming, and call, and we're gonna roll the number quickly, and let us look at the communication. Like, how did we get here, and how did the whole thing come about, and where are we going? Some sustainability strategy on on this whole thing. If we're gonna try to expedite the audit and find those that are liable to start paying some of these, money that they are liable for, I think we can try to do that, because the issue is all about accountability. The current administration cannot just be so burdened with all of this and keep going to our people, our bill bus seller and pepper sellers.
Willie, I want you, Willie, sorry for the interruption, but I want
yeah,
you to
go ahead, Bijo. Yeah.
I want you to keep this question from Royal Jerome on a screen
Yes,
a little bit.
absolutely. Yes, we're gonna keep it.
It's
Yeah.
crucial.
It's crucial.
It was also on my mind, and I want to join Jerome to emphasize, and this go directly to the general secretary. The general, I think the approach to communicating this whole settlement is wrong in the first place. In the first place, there should not be an appeal thrown out there. There should not be there shouldn't have been a mass meeting with Lutherans at the office to appeal to them to do this settlement. I think what they should have done first was to communicate with LUCWA, because LUCWA urgency is not cast in stone. But we belong to Christ Jesus,
Right.
We are in this thing together. This is an institution that we are an integral part of. LUCWA is not LUCWA is not going to do anything beyond asking us.
I mean, LUCWA is not a courthouse.
Right, Willie, I'm coming to that. Right, so we needed to write LUCWA to ask LUCWA to relax this a little bit, even if it is extension for a month or two, for us to do some internal investigation in terms of what has happened. And we can use our current financial position. We are not in the best financial position as an institution to tell LUCWA that, the Lutheran Church in Liberia is an open secret that we are challenged financially. And there's a lot going on, although efforts are being made by the church, but there's no guarantee that we are going to be financially okay in the not too distant future. It's going to be a long process, a process of commitment and dedication, strategies, and a lot to be able to succeed financially. So talk to LUCWA to relax this a little bit and assure them that the money is going to be paid, but we need some time to investigate and to be able to mobilize the funds, because you want to be careful not to pile pressure on your members. You want to be careful not to do that. If you look at what happened in the recent past, we've just been here on this show encouraging Lutherans to contribute to the lay program at Total, encouraging Lutherans to contribute towards finishing some of the buildings at Total to be able to get our Lutheran University registered as a requirement. We just encourage Lutherans to contribute to the LCR project. That is even ongoing. We've talked to Lutherans through the Monrovia district to contribute to the Bishop's Residence project, and Lutherans massively, overwhelmingly contributed to that initiative. We want to be careful going forward that we also have a major unsettled loan with the bank, the $20,000 from ELCA. And this is crazy. Let me put it that way. This is crazy, Willie.
Absolutely.
The previous leadership, took a loan from the bank to transform the bishop's official residence into a so-called multi-purpose building. They did that. I don't know what was brought forward from that building from the previous leadership in terms of how much they generated since the building was transformed into the multi-purpose center. What have they generated? So that loan is not able to service itself. So we had to go again to the ELCA to take money to come salvage that loan with the bank. And I know that there is interest involved here also. There are interest implications for that loan. So my understanding is that we got up to $20,000 United States dollars to pay, and the deadline, Willie, is around when? July 31st?
The deadline is in July. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, July. It's in July. I'm not sure about the date. So we have that.
Precisely.
Are we going to go again from this LUCWA loan thing, go again to the people and put pressure on them to make contribution towards the settlement of that loan? And like you rightfully said, Willie, are we being strategic here? How are we going to be dealing with these issues? So I think we are not operating on the right footing. The approach taken on this loan settlement, I don't think it's the right approach. I don't have more information, but the fact that the cost of appealing to the people to settle this financial obligation is not available. The information is unavailable. Where is the letter from LUCWA? How did the leadership address the letter from LUCWA? Because I'm sure the leadership did not come up in vacuum to start appealing to people to make the payment, to the settlement. I'm sure it was on the basis of an official communication or engagement from LUCWA. So it's that information we need. And if somebody from the leadership is following the show today, they need to call to tell us how they want to approach this. If they want to appear on the show, we're going to provide them the platform, the opportunity to do that. But we are obligated, we are obliged to bring this issue up to the public because the bishop made it public, invited people to LCL compound, and this is in the public domain. So we have to start talking about it in a serious way. I'm concerned about how Lutherans are going to become weary again, going back to them with multiple requests for financial settlements, for contribution to projects and programs. That is not a strategic approach. I think they need to rethink this. Yes, people will contribute. There may be some people who are excited about being involved with the current leadership. They will go beyond and above to do everything to raise money, to encourage people to contribute. Notwithstanding, those very people will get weary. This is money we are talking about here. People have to work for it. People have to generate it. People have to have plans for what they want to do with their money. Right. So they will not just be throwing money out there to the LCL to settle financial obligations and to contribute to projects and programs. I think this is something, yeah, Willie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bijo, I earlier when you were speaking, you talked about how LUCWA's money, in fact, since this is an organization, the money should have been kept in a special account, or maybe the finance people would say either a restricted account or so. Okay. Mm-hmm. The information gathered is that LUCWA money was placed into a general account. I think that was an error right there. Okay, that is on the information gathered that LUCWA money was placed in a general account, and there's also information circulating that from that meeting, okay, that the money, LUCWA money, is part of the over 35,000 that was stolen by some of our brethren, okay, who were in the employ of the LCL. But now this brings the question: if this was part of the money, was it reported in the turnover notes? Was it reflected in the turnover notes? If it wasn't reflected in the turnover note, then there's a smoking gun somewhere.
Okay, well, I see Royal Jerome is excited about this conversation, and he wants us to invite leadership. It's a very good thing to do, but even without inviting the leadership, right, this is a cause for concern with Royal.
It is.
This is, yeah, Willie, I'm coming. This is a cause for concern, and we couldn't go about this weekend today talking about it when the meeting was held on Tuesday. I think it's also the leadership's responsibility to get in touch with us to say they want to appear to provide clarification to Lutherans. I think it's their responsibility as well. It's not just the show. We already have the platform, which is a golden opportunity for everybody, including the leadership. We wouldn't have said no to that effect, So the leadership needed to do that. Like I said, I don't know the reason why the cost for the settlement is being withheld. The communication is being withheld. But I think it's the wrong approach. You shouldn't come to ask somebody, even let's take this at the individual level. If I had a financial settlement responsibility and I wanted assistance from you, Royal Jerome, or from Willie or some friends of mine, it will be my obligation to provide them explanation as to how I incurred that obligation and why I need to settle it as quickly as possible. Let's talk about an institution, the LCL. This is our reputation here as an institute. This is our image. I agree with the General Secretary when it comes to all of those fights. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But what I don't agree with the General Secretary on is the withholding of the information that led to us urgently calling on Lutherans to contribute so that we can settle this obligation. I don't think whether or not the leadership are going to be sitting here, we're going to be raising the issue with them the way we are raising it, because it's not just right. And so even in their absence, it's not even right, and that's why we're mentioning it. So they have a responsibility. The leadership has a responsibility to engage with us, to tell us that we want to appear to talk about this. So we are here for us, information that we gather. We always come here and talk about it to inform Lutherans about what's obtaining in the church. It's our fundamental responsibility. That's the basis for which we establish, as a network to communicate all of these things. And this is in good faith, because no Lutheran wants to be associated with something like this, that an institution that we serve, our former bishop served as president of LUCWA, when LUCWA is communicating with us and giving us pressure, ultimatum to pay money in 2 weeks to do a settlement, that the leadership, since it's been in office, has not mentioned that, because had the leadership received a turnover note reflecting this loss, I think it would have been a different situation. Some proactive approach or action would have been taken to address the situation, to avoid what we are having today, to prevent the situation we're having today. So another question is that, didn't they know that the previous leadership was obligated, meaning that the Lutheran Church in Liberia was obligated to LUCWA? Didn't they know? Was it not reflected in the turnover note? When we sat here with Brother Gago, and he mentioned some of the things that we didn't want to hear about the financial status of the church, I think it's now time for us to rethink, for us to reflect some of the issues. We sat here with Sis Naomi. My colleague sat with her and asked her about the turnover situation, the transitional process. And they all said that it was okay. It was perfect. So why didn't information like this, factor in the turnover process, in the transitional process, so that some of these things could be immediate actions taken by the current leadership to avert the current situation we have? Because what we have right now is an embarrassment. I haven't seen this before. An institution that we are a constituent member of to be communicating with us in this manner, and that we are so afraid something is wrong. It's like they got something on us, like they got something on us. Something is wrong, that we just, adhere to the urgency and start, pushing our members to contribute to the settlement. So that's the angle we're coming from, Royal Jerome and other brethren who have similar concerns. So we want to start talking about this, and probably because of this conversation, the leadership might engage us and say they want to appear to talk about it and bring the letter forth that they received from LUCWA, or however they were informed or engaged regarding this settlement. They will come here and talk to you about it, but it's our responsibility to start the discussion with you and to know what your thoughts are. Also, this program provides you, this discussion today provides you the opportunity to engage your leadership, to tell them what you feel and what you think should be done in this situation. So it's an opportunity for you, Brother Jerome, and the rest of the folks following today. You are turned to my Lutheran Connections online TV. We are here at this hour every Sunday, bringing you information, entertainment, and encouragement, and contributing to the spirit lifting of our souls and the development of our church. To you, Willie.
So yeah, thank you, Bijo. I try to bring up the current president. I mean, talking about the Lutheran Youth Fellowship president. He's making a comment to a response to Brother Jerome Jala's comment, as we can see on here. But I like the point that Brother George Molva is making. But I'm also concerned that if it is just a reminder, I think it's like, okay, Bijo, we gave you something the last time, and you keeping it. Okay, but we're gonna be using it in a 3, 4, 5 months time. So please get prepared. Or it was in the turnover note that you already have it there, and you're aware that anytime we can come to you for it. But this is something that just came out of the blind. So to Brother George Mola, I don't want to think this is a reminder. Again, if we should get the communication from the GS office, it will clarify a lot of these doubts that a lot of people have. It will clarify the doubts that people have. Because for information from the meeting is that we Lutherans, LCL Lutherans, were just being appealed to, saying, please let us pay this money. Or where's the former administration? Where's the former bishop in this? Can he provide information on this? Please let us pay this money. How did the whole money come about? This money is part of the money that was stolen from the accounts. So we just begging, please let us pay. Even if you go to the hospital and you have a wound and the doctor is to cure that wound, the doctor want to investigate what's happening on there. Okay, so he will really want to check and make sure. But another thing again, Bijo, concerning this communication, two things. I'm having two concerns on this communication, and I want to bring them again. I want to bring that on. I want to bring that on the screen. One is the distribution. Okay. Let me just share that quickly. Okay. Number one is the distribution. So in the communication, according to our General Secretary, Brother Kedar, he said that we owe 10,000 and we had to pay this 10,000. Okay, so it's about $9,850. So I think it's round up to 10,000. Okay, if we look at the distribution table, the distribution chart here, of all of our districts, our non-districts, we already made it 10,000. But then we come down here, we start charging programs and projects and district and auxiliaries. Now, mind you, if you say Kakata district, you're talking about Kakata district men, Kakata district women, Kakata district youth. The same thing with Lofa district, the same thing with Monrovia district. Then now we're charging malaria program, we're charging the youth $25, we're charging the women, we're charging all these people. So this is an extra $1,275. But if you look at the communication said we owe 10,000. I would like you. I mean, if you have a response to that or front, but that's just my concern right here. Then the second thing has to do with this, Big Joe, that looking here, we're talking about accountability, right? And no offense to our older sister, Yama. If tomorrow we have to do an audit, are we going to go to Says Yama and say, bring your phone, let's load inside for all the mobile money and everything? If we are using mobile money, since in fact that's another easy medium of payment in Liberia, I think the church by this time should have her official mobile money account. That's one. The church should have her, whatever account that is like people should contribute to instead of using personal accounts. This is one thing I've been calling our church on. Even when you look at announcements for vacant positions, like like the last time announcement for the treasurer position or the general secretary position, and they're asking you to send your CV to someone's email address. Email addresses are free. Why can't we just open one and say Office of the General Secretary, Lutheran Church in Liberia at gmail.com, at outlook.com?
That is right, Willie. And Willie, let me just come in before I lose my thought here on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
There are a lot of questions coming to mind. I'm not even sure that this is the only amount that we credited from LUCWA. I'm not sure. So that's why we really need a detailed information around the LUCWA account with the LCL. Because here's the first thing. When Bishop Sianglo was president of LUCWA, they said the treasurer of the LCL automatically became the treasurer of LUCWA.
Yeah.
It means that they must have created an account for LUCWA. So the fundamental question here is that during the transitional process, why was that account not accounted for to the new leadership? Yes, why that information was not available to the new leadership? As to, these are the critical questions, as to how much the LCL credited from LUCWA, or how much was credited to the LUCWA account that our treasurer presided over at that time. How much? We don't know. Okay, the next question is, what did they do with the money? What did they do with the money? I mean, no expenditure report? I'm not a financial expert, but from my lay accounting understanding, you must retire what you receive.
That's right.
If you have balances, it should be reflected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it should be reflected. Mm-hmm. So then what happened? Fundamentally, something is wrong here. Something is wrong because there should have been a report available to the bishop and his leadership immediately they took over regarding the LUCWA account. How that account was being credited, in fact, the account activities, so that they are aware of where the LCL is regarding any financial settlement or how it was incurred or the total amount involved. No information was provided. This speaks to a gross financial mismanagement in the LCL in the recent past. This is an indicator. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a financial expert, a financial management expert to know that there were serious financial mismanagement in the recent past. Because here you're talking about payment of loans.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, here's a financial obligation that we're struggling to settle.
Right.
We got another one coming in July, where the Liberian people call Diho Koboho.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you took a loan with a bank to transform one of your historic building into a multi-purpose building that's supposed to bring in income. Mm-hmm. So that was quote unquote for income generating purposes. Mm-hmm. So is there any report on how far you went with raising funds, generating income from that building? Was there an account that funds generated from that building going to? What is the status of that account? No, nobody here knows. The current leadership, were they provided report on the status of that account? Okay, now, so that loan cannot service itself. Like I said before, there's also interest implication with that loan. And so you have to run to the ELCA to collect money to come and service that loan. You have not fully serviced that loan. You have $20,000 that you have to pay in July. Okay. Here you are talking about, this is not good for the reputation and the image of the LCL.
It's not.
So this is not something that we need to even take time to be talking about. This is something that we need to think about it openly so that the leadership can take it very seriously. So the first step to come to us Lutherans to pay to settle this obligation is not to come to beg them. It's to come to provide justification for their contributions to do this settlement. That's the first step. So I think there was a fundamental misstep in the approach was just wrong. And I don't know how many Lutherans are going to be encouraged. Like I said, some Lutherans are just upbeat for different reasons. Some Lutherans just like the bishop. Some of them like the fact that leadership has changed. So they will go the extra mile to do anything they want to do. They don't care if it is financial contribution, they will do it. We are all here to encourage people. We've sat on this show and encouraged people to contribute to programs of the current leadership. And we are committed to doing that because we're Lutherans who want to see that happen. And part of that is the kind of sacrifice we're making here. This platform and making time to be here to talk about it. But equally so, just as other Lutherans, we also want to see accountability and transparency in the functioning of the leadership. And one way to do that is to hold people accountable for their actions. And that has to happen. This is a Christian institution. If you want to forgive, forgive. But first, let them confess. Because you have to confess your sin to be forgiven.
That's 1 John 1:9. 1 John 1:9.
Yes, you have to. We all have to repent for our sins to be forgiven. So if we want to forgive our brothers and sisters, especially the past leadership, they also have to come to say, we are sorry. This is what we did wrong. We collected this money from LUCWA. This is what happened. We collected this, as a loan to do the multi-purpose building. But the multi-purpose building was also bringing in income. But this is what we did. I mean, they need to come realistically. They need to come clean and talk to Lutherans and people should not take the leniency of Lutherans, for granted. They too can push back. You can remember when the new leadership took over and we started talking about raising funds to support some of the activities of the leadership. People were pushing back.
People did push back, yeah.
Yeah, people were pushing back, seriously.
Yeah.
We don't want to go into that mode.
No.
If you don't want to go into that mode, then everything you do has to be reflective of transparency, trust, confidence, and it comes with high level of accountability. It comes with high level of accountability.
Absolutely.
So people who did these things, they are not dead, they are still alive. Thank God. The leadership has a responsibility to engage with them, to be able to account for what they did. If they cannot pay the money back, but they should be able to, admit to their brethren that yes, this went wrong. We did this wrong. We did that wrong. We are responsible for it, but we're encouraging everybody to support. Lutherans will overwhelmingly support. The only thing Lutherans want to see from their brethren is to come and speak the truth and to talk about it. They will support overwhelmingly. I think that would have been the best way to encourage more people to pay this money. But the way the leadership is proceeding now is like, okay, people will say, okay, that's the leadership. All right, they're pushing this down our throat. We don't have any option. And you don't want that kind of spirit, to start in the church. You don't want that kind of that kind of feeling. People to start to harbor that feeling. You wouldn't get their support as you wanted.
Absolutely, BJ. And from what you've just stated, I want to go back to Royal's first question. This administration has to be very careful how she proceeds, with dealing with issues. Okay. Now you send out communication requesting for people to pay, and mind you, in every congregation, the church members, first of all, we have our biblical duties. One, our biblical financial duties. One, our tithes. That one is scriptural, our tithes and our offering. Then congregations have projects. For example, St. Matthew is building her school. I know the members in St. Matthew will have to contribute to that school building project. And either the women department or the men department or the youth department undertaking some other side projects that the members will have to contribute to. So, like you said, things have to be made clear. And this administration should have communicated with LUCWA and asked for time so that we can investigate and know. Let us go down a little bit to the bottom and find out what's going on. And he said that LUCWA would just tell us, if you don't do this at this time, this and such is going to happen. Because if someone is giving this ultimatum, it means that there is a penalty after that if you don't meet the deadline. If you see,
please screen Dr. Jala's comment.
Okay.
It's a greetings from the Lutheran Communion of South Africa, Luke's office, Johannesburg. Oh, very good. Thank God.
Yeah, he's South Africa.
Dr. Jala. I'm surprised that I don't see my Lutheran connections on the list for contribution. Oh my
goodness. And you know what? I will also add that Reverend Jala, I will add, I'm surprised I don't see Aliyah on the list for contribution. I don't see Aliyah on the list. Okay. So yeah. So I mean, yeah, we have to be very strategic as we approach this.
From a privilege standpoint, Willie, it's not just about the settlement obligation that we have. My understanding is that even during Bishop Sianglo's presidency at the level of LUCWA, there were serious missteps. Yeah, that it is the responsibility of the member country that takes on the leadership to appoint an executive director. And I
Okay.
want Bishop Siangolo or anybody from his leadership to come and debunk that, to come and say that I'm wrong. But from where I sit, my understanding is that Bishop Siangolo failed to appoint an executive director. And
Wow.
why an executive director? My understanding is that LUCWA uses that portfolio or that level in the leadership to deal with the day-to-day affairs, because as bishop, you are focused. You are focused on the activities of the church in your country. Yes, mostly. And then you can just deal with simple administrative and leadership issues when LUCWA is meeting. But the executive director has the responsibility to run the day-to-day affairs of the communion. And that executive director will be involved with the financial management of the institution. So I don't know whether or not it was intentional or unintentional that Bishop Siangolo decided not to even appoint an executive director, creating a void that allowed the treasurer to assume the authority to manage the finances of LUCWA and report directly to him, because between him and the treasurer should be an executive director.
Executive director. Wow.
Yes, yes. So that's another information that I'm gathering from my research on this thing. And the leadership, that's why I said fundamentally the current leadership slip, because it shouldn't have started with appeal to Lutherans to pay this money. And Reverend Jala, you are on. Dean Jala, you are on. You know much about yeah. I know you were the administrator at Fekawa, you know. I know we met in Ghana before when you were on that mission. You did extremely well with that regional organization as administrator, ran it effectively. I'm so glad as Liberian, I'm proud, you know, the way you are respected, because the level of accountability that you administer, you exercise at that level. So you know a little bit about LUCWA. I will also want you to chime in if I'm wrong on this executive director position and how Bishop Siangolo failed to appoint somebody to that position. If you have any information on that, you can also chime in on that, and how you created a void between him and the treasurer, because there shouldn't have been that void. There should have been an administrative person sitting there and checkmating the treasurer, checkmating in terms of making sure that the financial activities are intact and are going effectively consistent with the policy of the communion. So you can chime in on that as well. And if you have any additional information to share with us regarding this embarrassment, we will appreciate highly if you share with us, with our audience, because everyone wants to know what's going on. We are concerned here that if we continue to pounce on Lutherans, keep asking them, make this contribution, pay this money, do X, Y, Z, I think it's going to be too much for them. So Willie, I just wanted to add that part to it.
Thank you so much, Bijo, and to our viewers. We want to say we are glad that we have our brother Batam Abel Lewis is also with us in studio. But
Willie, that's not a way to introduce Abel on the show. If Abel portfolio has changed. Abel
no, on that show. Okay, the current board chairperson, but I mean we don't want to say that is kind of compromise. So
there's no compromise.
Okay, the current board chairman.
Please get off. Will you please keep off? I will welcome Abel. Will you please keep off?
Okay. Yeah, you welcome Abel, because I don't want to sound like. Go ahead.
Folks, we want to take this opportunity to welcome the board chair of the Lutheran Training Institute, my alma mater. And Willie, now you see why I told you to keep off, right?
There you go. I see why. I see.
No, you know, it pleases me a lot. It gives me so much pleasure when I'm talking about LTR, the Great Lutheran Training Institute. And it pleases me that, you know, one of us is board chair. Abel, welcome to the show, man. An interesting conversation today. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thank you, Willie, for that warm reception. You're right. We are taking up a new position at the level of the SCO. That is looking forward in revamping and restoring the past glory of the cradle of the Lutheran education in Liberia. That's the Lutheran Training Institute. We hope that working together, as a team, we'll be able to achieve that goal that have been over the years attempted to be restored, but due to circumstances and challenges beyond our own expectation, that have not been done. But anyway, we will find a time to discuss the strategies as to how we will go about doing this. I just want to thank the bishop and the acting director of the school system for kind of restoring that confidence in us, ensuring that we can help in the revamping process. Now I'm back to the topics. I read a letter yesterday, and I'm just coming, so I'm going to wait a little bit to follow the discussion before I can make my own contribution towards the topics for tonight. Thank you, folks.
So, Abel, which letter you read?
I read a letter from the General Secretary informing all parishes and districts of the Lutheran Church in Liberia about the reimbursement of 9,000 plus money from LUCWA. But I was trying to digest the letter yesterday. I read it a couple of times to see if I could find meaning out of it. But the letter left us with a lot of questions. As I posted last night on the page, that we needed to have the General Secretary in studio to kind of clarify as to what the purpose for which this $9,850 need to be paid. Because if you tell people that they should pay money back, they want to know for what. So there were a lot of cons raised, a lot of people thinking that maybe it is the Lutheran Church due, because I understand the churches pay due to the regional body or to the Lutheran World Federation, whether it's the church's due or it's some sort of a special contribution that need to be made by the LCO, or it is some money that have been deposited with the LCO. So those are the questions, because the letter didn't clarify anything of such.
All right. Thank you, Brother Abel. Whether you want to screen Reverend Pay's comment, I'm a little bit concerned about that. And by the way, Reverend Pay, we want to say welcome to the show and thanks for following. It's a usual thing anyways. So we hope you are having a nice time at UMU Banga campus. So he says, Reverend Pay says here, my turnover notes presented in 2016 before leaving LTR has been found. Okay, that's a wonderful thing. But the next thing is, how important is that to us? The last part, he says, a good way to begin. Okay, Pastor Pay, you want to share more light on that? We'll be glad to see more information regarding that, Pastor Pay. So Willie, I'm going to look at something here. Willie, are you there?
Yes. I was just
in conversation with somebody.
Yeah, I was just in conversation. Yes, but right. to brother Abel or Chairman Abel's question. So I don't want to let myself in trouble. So to Chairman Abel's question, that's the same concern that we, a lot of us have. How did we get here? What went wrong? The letter from the GS does not explain anything like that. It doesn't provide anything. The letter just, in my opinion, the letter just puts us in the big desert and say, take this direction and go. But how did we get to that place? The letter is not telling us anything. And like Big Joe said from the very beginning of the show, that we should have asked LUCWA. And excuse me for the lack of better words to say, LUCWA is not a courthouse. That LUCWA is just going to grab the LCA and put LCA in jail and put LCA in prison. We are all members of the body of Christ. So we were told, LUCWA are begging, look, we see your communication. Even lawyers will do that. I'm not a lawyer, but lawyers will do that when they send Tony say, okay, you know what? Give us time to research this and we'll get back to we're talking with our client. Okay. So look what we see your communication, we see how urgent it is. Give us a little bit of time and we will get back to you. But
Okay.
just to come out and start asking, we beg you, we beg you, we beg you, I think it's concerning, and a lot of clarification is not,
So, this is all coming together, Willie. This
yeah.
is all coming together. Now, what I'm gathering, Willie, is that, and I will continue to give you some privileged information.
Sure,
And
sure, absolutely, absolutely.
yes, it's all coming together now, because what I'm gathering is that there was no official communication sent to the current leadership. But
Okay.
here's what happened.
Okay.
That there was a pre-assembly held in Nairobi, Kenya, from May 8th to the 13th. And then it was when Bishop Siangolo, who also attended that meeting, it was when he was confronted regarding the issue. Okay. And so what the current LCL needs to do now is to do a comprehensive financial report to that account, regarding that account to LUCWA. So probably the report cannot be done because the bank balances don't reflect what the reality is supposed to be. Apparently, that is the difficult situation the church is in. But again, this is information I'm gathering, and I am sure of this information. That's why I'm sharing it, because of the soul. So if the leadership comes up and provide that in a way and feel comfortable to make the contribution, I think it's going to be the right way to go.
Exactly.
So Bishop,
I don't want to ask a question quick. So okay, go ahead.
Right, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to ask a question quick, right? So let's agree that the bishop was confronted, saying that, okay, you people have money for us and information like that. I think we should have them send it to us, formal communication, because this is how we operate now. We have executive council and we have convention. Okay, so and our Lord Bishop, no one is going to tell our Lord Bishop that what you are telling us, we don't believe you, we don't trust what you are telling us. No, but we should tell the organization or the institution, okay, can we have it this way, in Liberian, in black and white? Can we just have it in this way so that we can present it? That's one. Two, the privileged information you just provided, that information is not even part of the communication that was sent out. It was not part of the communication.
Willie, that's where I was going. The first thing I wanted to mention was lack of honesty. So what I'm gathering here is that this LUCWA account information was not part of the turnover notes to the current leadership. And if that happened, that was dishonesty on a part of the past leadership. Second, if that transaction took place and Bishop Siangolo knows that there is an account and the funds are supposed to be retired, Bishop Siangolo is supposed to write an official communication to Bishop Patmo regarding that account. Officially inform Bishop Patmo about that account and the circumstances surrounding the settlement. That has to happen. And that's why I say there is no way that we can treat this thing in silence or in isolation of the past leadership. So in the first place, I'm not sure Bishop Patmo is supposed to proceed with settling this account without any explanation from Bishop Siangolo. Bishop Siangolo's leadership is to provide a detailed information on circumstances surrounding the settlement before Bishop Patmo can take any action. But if Bishop Patmo's leadership has that information and they are not sharing in a way that will move the members of the church to settle the obligation, then for me, there's an issue. That's a gray area that we need to address. So this is a serious thing. What Pastor?
I think Abel wants to come in.
Yeah. Pastor Pay is saying, you want to screen Pastor Pay's comment? Let's read it and see if he's
okay. Yeah, I will screen that. He said, LUCWA's fund was deposited with the LCL because the Bishop Emeritus was the president of that body. That Monday, okay, I think he said that money, I think is a typo. That money was stolen from the bank. It was among the 50,000+ stolen by the guys. Now, was it reflected in the bishop turnover note? That's the question. And then I want to say something. Bijo, come in. Let me just say this quick, right? From privileged information, when you just enter the LCR compound, there's an annex of the Lutheran's guest house. There's an annex. Privileged information that it was built during the LUCWA's conference, and funds were used, from the LUCWA money to build that. So I don't, I don't want to dispute what the bishop is saying.
Abel coming here. Will it Abel?
Yeah, let's have Abel coming.
Hello, first.
Hello.
Yeah,
Abel.
go ahead, Abel.
Yeah, I think I just want to strike a few of the comments that Joe just made. We all understand there was a transition that was set up by the outgoing leadership and the incoming leadership. But I think it was predicated upon the outgoing leadership to kind of outline everything within their turnover notes to the incoming leadership. Because you cannot leave the turnover note halfway. You have to do everything. You have to show the progress, you have to show the assets, you have to show the challenges and everything. Because any attempt by you to leave anything illusions, it becomes a burden for the incoming leadership. So the whole issue about the Lutheran LUCWA money being deposited with the SCOs, I don't know to what extent the outgoing leadership was able to explain in their turnover note as it relates to the status of that money. If that wasn't done now, the SCO is taking the burdens of that. So for me, erecting such a communication to the membership, to pay back money in question, it needs to be clarified. You need to open up. You need to be more elaborate and inform the Lutheran community as to what actually happened. Therefore, we are not asked to pay this money. With those kind of a clarity, it would be much better. But I think the GS still have questions to answer. He needs to come on this platform.
He needs to come
to really clarify some of these points so that Lutheran will get to know. And then the other side of the coin is, no matter what the situation is, no matter what happened, I think it is an obligation on our part, because we want to maintain our status within this sub-regional body, within the Lutheran World Federation, that we have been one of the major institutions, being part of this for over a long period of time. But it would be prudent, it would be good for the General Secretary to really clarify as to what happened to this money, the circumstances leading to us or to his request to the SCO membership of paying back this money.
Right. Ebe, you are right. And I was going to go there. Clearly, there's no question about that. The previous leadership, from what we are gathering, did not provide any information, did not update the current leadership on the status of the LUCWA account. And that's why I said, for me, it's dishonesty. It's dishonesty. If they didn't do that, that's high level of dishonesty. Now, KDO's communication should have started, the opening should have been on the circumstances surrounding the settlement. That this is something their leadership has inherited. They are investigating it. They will assure the public that they will get back to them. But for now, the pressure is on the church to settle the obligation to avoid the embarrassment. That's what the church was supposed to do. That's what the GS was supposed to communicate, and not to leave people in oblivion. Provide information that, yes, we are responsible for that because the past leadership received this money. At the time, it was the LCL's turn to provide leadership of LUCWA. And so our treasurer was the treasurer of LUCWA. And so all financial transactions were managed or went through our treasurer. For that, we are supposed to account. But to account, we have to do a comprehensive and meticulous financial report so we can have the correct balances of the account to report to LUCWA. While we are in the process of doing that, we encourage all of you to please contribute to this so we can save the LCL's image and reputation. So the GS's communication is not correct. It's not correct. That communication coming to people asking them to pay is incomplete. To do any financial settlement, people must have the
And,
justification. People
and
must
Reverend
have
Pay,
the justification.
Reverend Pay just provided this that we owe the ELCA 20,000. How do we
And we
engage?
said that. I said that.
Yeah,
We said it
yeah,
from the beginning of the show
yeah,
that
yeah.
we have to pay a 20,000 that we had no
20,000
business paying.
in July.
You have no business in first transforming, quote unquote, transforming the official bishop's residence into a multi-purpose center if you're not going to bring any brought forward from your leadership to the current leadership in terms of income that you generated from that multi-purpose building. The only thing this leadership has handled, as far as I know, is settlements. Settlements.
Absolutely.
You have thousands of dollars that were stolen in the name, that was stolen through salary payment. My concern is how come the LUCWA account was used for salary payment? Because that money that was stolen went to salary payment. Willie, we share the how you call it, the spreadsheet here. We shared that before to the people. We explain, page by page. Abel, you were here rather. We discuss it. It didn't show anything that had to do with donor funding or communal funding or anything of funds that were applied. So something is going on. The treasurer has an obligation here to provide the needed information to the current leadership. And I hope the current leadership is taking it seriously and taking it in good faith to go after this information and make sure that if any foul play is detected, that it is brought to light. And people should know the wrongs they have done. Even if they cannot pay to help us settle, we all can pay to settle. But before we pay to settle, we have to know paying. Let me tell you something, Willie. When I was in Yomo going to school, and many of those who are following and remember that time, we had a student council.
Just before you go further, I was in Mansanta attending Tepe Refugee School. So go ahead.
I went to Tepe also. Yeah. So
okay.
When I was in high school and I was in the student leadership, the administration, Marlene, a very good person. I respect her so much, Sis Marlene. She was the principal then. They came out with a decision, and Abel was there at the time. In fact, Abel and I were in the senior class. They came out with a decision to ask all of the students, the entire school, to pay 350 francs, Guinea franc. And I was the information minister of the student leadership, and I needed to inform the student body to pay that money. The principal and the entire administration, the faculty, standing right there, that money, during devotion. And the principal came and made an announcement, encouraging all the students to pay 350 francs. When the principal left, when she ended her announcement, while she was still standing there, I came on and told the students that nobody should pay a cent. Nobody should pay a cent until the administration communicates with us, the leadership, and we will be the one to come to explain to the students why they should pay. Until then, nobody should pay. Abel is aware that I was charged as a ringleader. 14 students did not pay, including Benedict Koliba, some of the leaders of our country right now. They did not pay. They follow me. And I was out of school for 1 week. My father had money to pay. I had money to pay. We could afford. But I refused to pay, and I encouraged people to pay. They followed my lead, and I was punished to mow 450 blocks, construction blocks, and also to uproot all of the stumps from the campus. We used to go there overnight and uproot the stumps and make the blocks, but we didn't pay. And I felt so comfortable, so happy during the punishment, leading other students to do the punishment, because I knew that there was no justification for the payment of the 300 francs. And so you have to be principle-minded as a leader. Yeah. So if our previous bishop and his leadership, up to this point that we're having this conversation, have not provided any information regarding the LUCWA account to the current leadership, my suggestion to the current leadership would be to disregard the collection of the money and launch an immediate investigation into the LUCWA's account as a priority investigation. Do it and communicate with LUCWA and inform LUCWA the circumstances and tell them when you will be in a better position to pay the money because you've just assumed leadership and you know nothing about that. You cannot provide the account balances information to LUCWA. That's what I would do if I were bishop. I wouldn't. Thiongolo and his leadership will take the responsibility and they will account for it to me. And then I will communicate that information to LUCWA. I think that's the way they should proceed.
So to brother George, I mean, we have the 100, we have the 21 pages document here. Okay, 21 pages document. There's nothing in here that talks about LUCWA.
The turnover note, we have it.
The turnover note. This is the turnover note. 21 pages. Turnover note by Bishop Siankulu. So if anyone is interested, we can share this. 21 pages. All of this document we can share with you. But there's nothing in here that says that the church, or something about LUCWA and the church owes and everything. And if you look at this document also from our GS, the document is just talking about us, just asking us and begging us to pay money that we don't know about, that we should just pay because someone said we owe money. And again, I'm still concerned that if we owe 10,000 and the 10,000 have been distributed and we still have some money down here, again, people still paying the money. That's another concern right there. GS will actually have to make some clarification. I think and you know what, Big Joe, next Sunday is Bishop Hour. So I will hope that the GS will, could come along with the bishop, or we will try again as much as possible to reach out to him to see if he can appear. But I will rest my
opportunity, Willie. The leadership has the opportunity.
They have the opportunity.
The bishop wants, since this is financial management issue and there are a lot of intricacies, if the bishop wants the general secretary to come and sit in his stead just for that Sunday, the bishop can allow the secretary general to come and let's have the conversation about the LUCWA account. Let's have the conversation about the LUCWA account. Let's do that. So if the secretary general wants to come, fine. Abel, what's your thought about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good that the bishop will be coming up next week, so we could use this time for him to also provide some clarity on the whole LUCWA monies business. But in addition to that, it would be very good for the GS, the General Secretary, Mr. Kedo, to also come along with the bishop. If possible, we understand the treasurer have already resigned. If we have a representative in the FANAC's office, they could also join the bishop to provide some clarity on the whole issue of the money. Because you just pull up the turnover note. If you read that turnover note upside down, there is nothing mentioned about LUCWA. As I stated in my previous statement, when you are making a turnover note, is your responsibility to include every component, be it finance, be it administration, be it operations, assets, and whatever. In fact, that particular account should be of a very crucial nature because it is a regional account that the Lutheran Church was managing. In the turnover note, the outgoing leadership should have included, because you don't expect the current leadership to perform matching, to know exactly what was in the box before taking over. They only determine what was in the box based on what you gave to them, except for any further investigation, So I think there are a lot of fundamental issues here, but I personally think that it's not very late. It's just like when we discuss these things, sometimes people want to make it very political. Right. I think the opposition leadership also have the opportunity now, to also come to us and appear on this platform and talk to Lutherans about what's happening. Every time we talk, people say, "Oh, why you're watching your daily flow, blah 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 blah." No, let me tell you one thing. Gone are the days when people only sat in a little corner and discuss issues. I think we are to practice transparency.
Sorry, I don't want to lose my thought. So almost all of the staff in the financial department have resigned.
Yes, I understand. The last person was the treasurer. The treasurer also resigned, and most of the financial staff resigned. But that does not negate the responsibility that they can't come back to explain anything that got to do with financial matter.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm only asking because that's racist concern. Why the mass resignation?
Yeah, absolutely. There was an exodus. There was an exodus of financial staff from that department. I don't know the reasons for that, but these are all questions we can pose. Maybe the reasons why these people are resigning. But there's a sticker issue because they got to do with the repetition of the SCR. And the other information I saw popping up from Reverend Pay about owing another 20,000. Usually we say leadership is continuity, but it have to be done in a more kind of a transparent manner. Because if you live in and you take a turnover note and turn everything to me with all of the challenges and why these challenges came about, that is understandable. But if you just leave it like that in allusions, is that you want to put me in trouble. So if the outgoing leadership cannot clarify all of these things that are now standing up, it indicates that they wanted to put the current leadership in trouble. So they still have an obligation. They still have an obligation to come back and clarify some of these things. Clarifying some of these things would be great, would be good for us. Because if we don't clarify, we will continue to talk about it. Though we don't want to go outside of the box by making story, we will try our best as much as possible to dig up every fact, so that we can put them up here. So these are just my thoughts on this, and I hope that the General Secretary will monitor this show tonight, and he can join the bishop on his bishop's hour so that they'll be able to clarify some of these things. And let's see if there's any genuine reasons why this money got to be paid, though it got to do with the position of the SCO. Then Lutherans all across the country cannot join to raise this money in a space second to have it paid. But I think this thing need to be clarified.
Well, Ibe, I think we can take that as your parting comment because we're wrapping up here. So let me just do mine, and then Willie will send it over to you to just end the show. So this is how I want to end this, Willie. I've been writing some notes here, and let me just indicate that I'll look forward to either the bishop or the general secretary addressing these concerns. And like Abel said, I hope they will watch this show, the recording tonight, if they are not watching it right now, and be able to prepare themselves to come. So first, we need to know that the 10,000 was support funds for sub-regional communion fellowship. That's what we need to know. And the bishop was not able to use the money for that purpose. That's the first thing. Because look, you need to think about it in a smart way. If that money was applied for the internet purpose, LUCWA would not have come after us in this form and manner that is coming after us. So that money was intended to support sub-regional communion fellowship. We as Lutherans, it was our bishop leadership that assumed the leadership of LUCWA. So we didn't use the people money for the internet purpose. That's what they're coming after us. So what we want to know here, Willie, specifically, how much was deposited into the account for LUCWA? We want to know that. How much was used? We want to know that. What were the bank balances before the departure of Dr. Sianglo's leadership? We want to know that. When did the treasurer get to know that the money went missing? When? When did she get to know that the money got missing? That today Bishop Sianglo and his leadership are in complete oblivion. They have no idea about this thing they're talking about, that even such information existed. When you are the treasurer, the finance minister of the church, and that since Bishop Padmo took over, he has not been briefed. In fact, he was not briefed on this matter until Bishop Sianglo was confronted from May 8th to the 13th in Nairobi regarding this settlement. So these are the fundamental questions that I will look forward to the bishop and the secretary general, or the secretary general appearing. We are flexible. And I think Abel will let you know that we are flexible. If the two of them can appear, one person appears, fine. It's the bishop show. We look forward to hosting the bishop. But just in case, for detailed purposes, if he wants the Secretary General to be on, we are also open to that. But we want these fundamental questions to be adequately addressed. How much was deposited into the account from the Lutheran community of Central and Western Africa? How much was used from the money and what it was used for? And what were the bank balances before the departure of Dr. Sianglo's leadership? And then when did the treasurer get to know that the money was missing? We want to know. Those are the fundamental questions that we address and the concerns that Lutherans have, and that we encourage them to contribute to this thing. So, folks, that's it from my end today. It was nice being here again. Today, we look forward to another exciting conversation next Sunday. At this time, I will go over to my colleague, Willie, who will give his comments on the show.
Yeah, I've also been taking some notes. But I just want to clarify here that, like, excuse me. I also want to just make this clear here. When Abel stated that the document, you turn it upside down, this is the proof. I've shown it like 2 times. I did a search in Adobe search for LUCWA. There is not a single LUCWA in this 21 pages document. So it is reflected. Okay. Number one, again, I want to come back to this communication. The fact that the GS is asking project managers to contribute to this fundraising initiative, it raises some concern for me. I am concerned about that. And the thing is, how can he, because this is the thing, how can project managers restitute, money that was not used for these projects? And project managers have restricted funds. They have something to work on. Like, for example, if we say the malaria project officer is working on malaria activities. So how's she going to take malaria fund to come go pay? Unless you asking her to take money from your own pocket and pay your salary to come and do this. That's something we have to be very careful with. Okay. And then the last portion, which also, has to do with projects in auxiliaries, that's an excess $1,275. What is the essence of that $1,275? I just want to say that this administration will have to be very careful how she proceed with all of these debts incurred. Like Brother Chairman Lewis stated, that we know government is continuity, but if things are not clear, if things are not clear, we need to investigate before we can take responsibility and say, okay, yes, no problem, I will take responsibility to do this. We cannot just go and start assuming responsibility. What if I come now and tell and say the LCL owe me $350? So Bishop Palmer should just go and start telling people, say, oh, okay, we're baking, y'all pay Willie his $350 so we can be in problem before he carry our need this plane, carry our need that plane because we are a church. No, we should investigate. We should make sure we know how, like, for example, the questions that you ask. Okay. Yep. How much money was turned over to the LCL? Which account was it in? Can we have that account to really investigate and say what was there? Instead of just going and say, oh, St. Matthew will bake you, St. Peter will bake you, this other person will bake you. So, I'm glad that the Bishop Hour is coming up next Sunday. And even though it's the Bishop Hour, the Bishop can have anyone from his administration or from the church to appear on the show. So we are looking forward to that on the Bishop Hour to provide, clarity on this communication that was sent out. I want to say thank you.
And one of the person we are situated, Willie, is the GS. The GS.
The GS Mile. Yeah, the GS Mile.
Like Abel said, the GS should actually be available, because we don't just want the bishop to come and provide peripheral information. We want somebody who will be detailed. Yes, because we have questions.
Because the communication, this communication came from the office of the GS.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So imagine, Willie, I said I was gone, but imagine this information: the accountant is gone, the cashier is gone, the pension bookkeeper is gone.
This does not serve right for it's not serving right for them.
And their boss, the treasurer resignation was accepted on July. Was accepted on July 31st. Yes.
No, I think she will be leaving. I think July 31st because because guess what? There is an announcement. There is an announcement from brother. Hold on one second, from Father. Father. I know we said we're going, but let Father Gavler Smo. Okay, he sent an announcement about a vacancy announcement for the treasurer position. So it means yes.
Let's see, man. Next Sunday, man. This
does not serve right for our church. I mean, with all of these smoking guns and everybody just start to leave like that, let's make sure we fix everything and leave in peace. But everyone just start flying up. It's sent a lot of red flags and smoking guns all around the place. Seriously, a lot of red flags.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, folks.
All right, folks. Yeah.
It was nice again being here.
And I've done MLC Talk Production. Want to wish you all a wonderful and a blessed week. And quickly before I leave, Bijo, your niece is graduating on Friday. We want to thank God for the opportunity. She's graduating from high school. Oh, your network.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you. It's up to you, my man. You did everything you and the madam. Congratulations to you guys.
Thank God. Yeah. Thank God. Yeah.
Something to be proud of.
All right.